What's up, y'all? I'm back for another video. So, sorry, the Krampus video, I'm just gonna announce it now, was uploaded. Well, I thought when I originally filmed this, I filmed it yesterday, like during the day. And I thought, like, because when I realized it was done, fucking camera stopped. So I was originally gonna do a retake, but then I checked it. I'm fucked up, so I probably should have did that first, but whatever. But the video was mostly up. It was a 14-minute video. So I'm going to say right now, the ending is very abrupt, and I do kind of gloss a little bit over the ending, but I figured since I reviewed like a lot of the movie, and I guess really quick, I can give quick thoughts on the ending. Ending was really good with Krampus watching over the family. So I figure why not still upload it. It was a lot of the review instead of doing a whole other one when I still got a lot of the review, and I pretty much got the ending. I think it just up right before I was going to probably get right, like, exact ending. So I may have skipped over a bit, but so I figure really quick, instead of doing a whole other video on, I'll just give quick thoughts on the Krampus ending. Pretty good. You know, Krampus letting his family go, but he basically, it's like a reminder, like he, has the reminder of like the little, this is like a bell thing, that Krampus leaves as like a reminder, but basically he let his family go. So essentially that's what the ending was. So wanted to talk about that really quick, but today, so I'm uploading that video now, so now I don't have to do a retake. So plan is today I'm doing Aquaman, and I guess really quick before we get into what I got going on, I guess for the rest of the weekend, I'm going to be honest, this movie I'm not going to say it's not good, but it is not as bad as I thought it was going to be. The word inoffensive has been thrown around a lot. I guess Drinker last night when he was talking about it, mentioned that. I'm like, I gotta agree. I think it's very inoffensive. I don't think it's good, and I definitely will not watch it again. And the climate change, like, propaganda was cringe. It's not like day after tomorrow bad, but my God, they do like mention climate change a lot. But aside from that shit, it is not as bad as I thought it was gonna be. Like, I thought this movie was gonna be not Flash bad, but I still thought it was gonna be like maybe in the realm of like Shazam 2 or, maybe even Blue Beetle bad. No. I think what it was, because my expectations were so low that it was just one of those things where I came out of it like, I didn't really have a strong opinion. Like, I think my main issue really is the tone. Like, even, I know that people like to harp on, well, at least it's not woke. No, it's not. Aside from, like, the climate change shit, I guess if you consider that woke. But it very much feels like a Marvel movie. Like, it kind of does. Like, the bad jokes, that opening sequence where it's, like, Aquaman basically going through his life. There is some weird scenes, though. Like, there's a scene, I'm going to just jump to it. That opening montage where Mira makes Aquaman, because they have a baby. They make the baby pee in Aquaman's mouth. That was just, I didn't need to see that. That was just fucking weird. Like, fine, you want to do a pee joke, the baby pees on, like, his shirt or something. No, let's have him pee in his fucking mouth. They did, like, I think they did that shit, like, twice. It was just, like, why? Like, and then the way Aquaman was going through his daily shit, it was just treated as a joke. Even when he talked about, I'm the king of Atlantis, they don't really go into, like, Atlantean politics. The closest we get is when they mention, like, the climate shit. When they're talking about, Black Mana trying to find, the Black Trident that basically is, like, this ancient evil. And I'll say this, Black Mana was cool. He was probably one of the few even though he's very one-note villain, which, that's fine. But at least, hold on, let me fix something. Move headphones out the way. Anyway, but, like, yeah, Black Mana was cool. At least, he was at least a villain. He had a motivation. Aquaman killed his dad, left him for him and his dad to die, so he wants to get revenge. All right. At least it's a reasonable motive. Say it again. very one note in the sense like he's just angry at Aquaman. That's kind of all his character really is in this movie. But it's I think it's fine. It serves purpose. Though I think the way he gets defeated is lame, because once the actual evil he has to fight kind of like basically moves on from Black Manta, he just kind of just gets disregarded. And that's one of the few issues I have with the movie. I don't like how Atlantis looks awful. Like, visually, this movie looks terrible. Not as bad as The Flash, but the CGI is pretty bad. Like, still, like, especially the scenes in Atlantis, when you compare it to, like, the first one, which is like a 6-year-old, 5-6-year-old movie. And I think 6, because, yeah, it's 20, it was 2018 when the first one came out. And my problem with it really fundamentally was just it looked terrible. Like, how good, I don't really love the first Aquaman either, but the visuals were beautiful. Like, it looked good. Like, to this day, like, I remember even after Aquaman 2 ended, I watched like a scene from the first one, and my God, it's not even close. And yeah, I'll be honest, I didn't see this in theaters. I watched it on the seas. But these cam versions these days are actually largely pretty good. We're not in the like mid-aughts when you had those, movies on the seas, or I guess bootlegs they would have been called back then. And yeah, the quality's usually no, they're pretty good now, to where you can tell good CGI even in a cam version. And that's what it was. The CGI was just horrible. Especially in that scene when Aquaman was talking to that, like, I guess they're elders or some, the leaders or whatever of Atlantis about, we should expose ourselves to the surface world. That scene looked so bad. It's like, how does this come out in 2023 and your movie from 2018 looks better? It's insane. It's almost like, I'm gonna bring that Quicksilver scene again from Days of Future Past. How does that look better? And that's from 2014. And I understand not the entire movie was CGI, but even like the first Aquaman, I think is a better example, because I think that a lot of that was CGI, but that looked good. But even like the suits, right? Like when Aquaman's like in his costume, it just looks terrible because you can already tell he's not wearing it. He's in like a CGI suit. I do like Orm. Orm was cool. I like that actor, Patrick Wilson. But him and his brother shtick got old. Like, he being like the more serious one and Aquaman being basically Aqua Bro. And that's kind of what this movie is. He's very much just Aqua Bro the whole movie. Surfer dude. And that's kind of like, you could tell no one gave a fuck. And I mean, I can understand, because I think everyone knew this was the last DCEU movie, right? So they're just not going to give a fuck. They're going to like just kind of phone it in, So I think the other problem I had a lot of problems with this movie. So yeah, this isn't like some glowing review or anything, but it won't be a rant either. Is just, it had that Marvel tone. It felt like nothing mattered. Everything was like CGI, so it just looked shitty. I did like the whole theme of family, but that just doesn't save it, though. And yeah, I guess I'll confirm this. Mira's in the movie, but she's in like a lot of it, but they clearly cut a lot of her scenes, because she's on screen, but she's just there. Like, when they have like the big scene where they, say that, okay, we're going to face off against Black Man and his people, she just kind of nods, or she'll say something, but in response to, like, she doesn't actively have proactive dialogue to where, like, she's actually doing shit. No. Like, even in the opening sequence, where, he's talking about being a father, he might as well have just been a single dad, because she's there just for, like, one scene. That's the scene where the kid pees in Aquaman's mouth, which that was just, ew. Like, why, movie? I didn't need to see that. I didn't want to see that. But aside from that scene, he might as well have just been a single dad, because he was acting like he was. He was feeding the baby. He was the one, changing its diapers. He felt like a single dad who's with his own dad. That's kind of all it was. And it's crazy because like, at least the first Aquaman, I didn't love it. I'm gonna say it again, but the tech was cool, and the world of Atlantis was cool. So it's like that portion of the film I really like, and it's like in this one, it just looks terrible. Even like the CGI, to where like yeah, the weapons look terrible. Like I can't even really give it props. Like the seahorses he was riding in the first one looked good, and then in this one, it just looks like a video game. It's not Flash bad, but it's still not good either. Like, cause I'll admit, I didn't see Flash in theaters. I streamed that one. But even then, you could tell the Flash CGI was awful. So, this isn't that, but this is definitely some scenes. It's kind of close. I guess overall, out of 10, like a 5. I'm never going to watch it again, but the word I saw Drinker use was inoffensive, and I kind of agree with it. That's kind of how I feel about this movie. It's inoffensive in the sense it didn't piss me off. I wasn't pissed after like I was with The Flash or even Blue Beetle. I was more just like, okay. It's one of those movies I watched once and it just kind of washes over me. But it does, DCU still does end in a whimper, but it's not the worst thing ever. I thought this was gonna be like AIDS, and it wasn't, but it wasn't good either. And I was saying this to my friend Mara, that it's not as bad as the other DC flops, but it's not good. Like but that's not saying much. When you compare it to the other DC flops, it's, I'll take it over like Black Adam, if you include that one, and then like the ones from this year, obviously like the Flash, Shazam 2, Blue Beetle. This is better than those, I guess. But it's still not, that's not saying much. Like, it's not hard to be better than the fucking Flash. And I guess I'll take this over the Marvels, but that's the other one. Like, the Marvels, like, that's not saying much. And even the ending where Momoa is giving, like, this speech after, like, the Atlanteans kind of show themselves to the world, and he gives this speech. It's like the I am Iron Man scene when he's like, I am Aquaman. I was cringe. Ugh. So yeah, I don't hate this movie, but I don't love it either. I'm definitely not watching it again. It's a one watch for me, but I can understand some who like get a little enjoyment out of it if you just turn your brain off kind of movie. I could see some people liking it, I guess. I didn't, but anyway. That's all I can really say. I'm actually, to make sure. Okay. I was making sure I'm still filming because of like what happened yesterday. But anyway, tomorrow I'm going to be doing my Screen Rant article where I roast. I found this article basically saying that essentially that Trinity's like the real hero, and apparently she's underappreciated in the Matrix movies. Like these man, I was gonna almost say maggot with the F though. Think maggot, but with the F. And they don't watch movies. It's like they'll just say any kind of dumb shit. Where the fuck is that coming from? That fucking Trinity was underappreciated. What? How the fuck was when was Trinity ever underappreciated? If anything, she's one of the biggest highlights most people have for the Matrix. And she's the one who kind of does train Neo. I mean, yeah, Morpheus does, but I would argue she's part of it. So, especially in those sequels. So, anyway. So, I'm going to be talking about that tomorrow. It's just, these, ugh. Fuck it, I'm already demonetized anyway. These faggots, just will say any kind of dumb shit. And it just doesn't make any sense. Like, it really doesn't. Like, if you watch the movies, Mystique, I was thinking X-Men. Trinity was one of the best characters. People love that opening scene from the first one. I don't want to harp on this because I'm going to save it for tomorrow. So I'm going to be doing that. And then Sunday, Christmas Eve, I'll be reviewing Nightmare Before Christmas. So I'm going to be doing that. So that's my plan through the Christmas weekend. But anyway, before, I guess we can get into the Aquaman review. So the movie opens up. Basically, we get this whole montage of Aquaman, you know, talking about being the father, a hero, and basically it's him balancing being a father, you know, a hero, and the king of Atlantis. And it's, I didn't like it. You could tell Momoa was just, I'm just gonna amp up being Surfer Bro Aquaman. That's a criticism this version of Aquaman has got. And I didn't really agree with it because I felt like in Snyder Cut they toned that back a little bit, and then it's just, no, let's just go full. I mean, even in the first one there was moments, but I feel like he was still relatively close to the character. In this, he's straight up just Surfer Bro. Like, it's my man. That's like, there's a lot of that kind of feel. Like, it's like Justice League Aquaman. Like, this almost feels like Aquaman in the Justice League continuity. He's just Surfer Bro, and yeah, just going through, like, and like I said, but him being King of Atlantis, they don't really go into it. One, you can tell he really doesn't want it, which, you know, there's little things like that. Like, I know I'm jumping ahead, but there's a scene where he's talking with Orm where he basically reveals, I never wanted the throne. He only challenged him because, you know, Orm was about to wage war against humanity. That was the only reason. He didn't actually want it. That actually could have been something they could have explored. Nope. They just ruin it for a joke. And there is a lot of that. Like, that's why I still say it's not a good movie. It feels like almost like a 2015-16 MCU movie, where this is before, like, the whole MCU thing, where it was just going in that comedy direction, where you have, like, a serious moment like that, and then you ruin it. Like, they could have gone into, like, the whole Atlantean politics. I'm not saying you need to go full-on, like, prequels, but I do want to see what this world... Like, the first Aquaman, you get a little bit of that, like, the feel of the world. You know? And I just think in this, they just kind of gloss over it. No, oh, yeah, I forgot to mention, fucking no, Willem Dafoe in this, or Volk... I can't remember the main character. I think Volk is the character's name, who's Willem Dafoe from the last one. I do wish he was in this. We do get Dolph Lundgren, but he's just kind of there. It's just like some random Atlantean general. And so, and like I said, you get this awful opening where, and then, like, there's a scene where Aquaman's going through, like, a fight with his son. And I think they were trying to make this funny, but I found it cringy. Because I'll admit, when he's, like, focused on the fight, it looked kind of cool. It was like Aquaman against, like, a bunch of dudes attacking, like, a ship. And he comes in and fucks them up. But then they got to cut away because it's him playing with the toys, like the Aquaman toy, and, like, fighting people in front of his son. And it's supposed to be, like, I think it's supposed to be cute, I guess, for, like, the kids. I found it cringe. Because I actually wanted to see that fight. Because I was like, the fight looked good. It was shot well. The action of the suit looked good. One of the few signs the CGI actually looked decent. And then they just, no, let's cut away so we can make a shitty joke. There's a lot of that kind of shit in the movie. While this goes on, David Kane, a.k.a. Black Manta, wants revenge for what happened with Aquaman. So he hires marine biologist Stephen Shin. There's no point to this character. He's just there. It's weird, man, with this character. So I recognize that actor. That actor is in, like, a lot of fucking movies. I think he's in, like, WandaVision, and he was in some other shit. And it's like, he's just there because he's having conflicts, not now, but, like, later in the movie, about, like, oh, and why should I be working with this guy? And there's, like, these weird, awkward scenes where he would peer into Black Manta's room. Black Manta's just standing there, and he closes the door. I'm like, what was the point in that? I guess it's showing Black Manta doing some evil shit, and he would close it so he doesn't see it, but it's weird. I was thinking he was going to kill him. Like, I was thinking, oh, there's going to be a point where he's going to kill him right now. That never comes. But anyway. So he ends up finding this Black Trident, and it kind of possesses him, and the creator basically gives him the power to basically try to kill Arthur. Basically, he even like shows a vision of him killing Arthur, right? So we jump later. David attacks Atlantis, and he's trying to steal some auric. I could be pronouncing this fucking wrong. The green shit. There's like a bunch of green shit that apparently the Atlanteans hid because it emits greenhouse gases, and it's so bad. This is when it does get to like the climate change shit. Then there's a scene where Aquaman basically says to his fellow Atlantis. This is before I think David or Black Manta attacks Atlantis. He tries to convince the Atlanteans to like, let's, out ourselves and try to show humanity that like they could do better. That's where it does get cringe. That is the most too we kind of get of like, Aquaman being a king, but it comes off like a joke. He's not treated seriously. And it's just like I said, when it does become like a climate change, like schlock, just fucking puke, that's kind of what it does become. It's especially the scene. It just is very much that. Oh, the humans, and their greenhouse gases and their destroying of the it was just like, what fucking year are we in, dude? Is this fucking, like, this is not as bad as, like, Day After Tomorrow, but God, it's insane to me, like, that we're doing this. So I guess, like, the most woke this movie gets is when it gets to that shit. But there is portions that kind of move away from that. So Aquaman, this is after Black Manta's attacked Atlantis. Black Manta's seemingly stronger. Like, he even beats Aquaman in their first, not really a fight. Like, they throw a couple punches at each other. Because it wasn't a long fight. They fight it, like, a little bit. Then, basically, Steven tells Black Man, we gotta go. Something with the water pressure. So, Black Manta causes, like, destruction and then leaves. So then Aquaman basically just talks with his mom and basically says, okay, we gotta, to stop Black Man, I'm gonna have to break out Orm, because Orm's like the only one, I guess, who's defeated him before. So he breaks out Orm, and this is where we get that shitty fucking stealth. What was the point of that? It just looked like a wannabe Predator suit. Like, you would have been better off just doing, like, you're telling me that Atlanteans couldn't just create some invisible technology by itself? They had to make a whole other fucking suit. That just looked terrible. Like, it looked terrible. Like, it looked like a suit, like a training suit almost. Like a training suit that maybe somebody would, even like in real life, they would wear before actually putting on his main suit. It was bad. It looked terrible. It didn't even, like, yeah, this is where the CGI looked the worst. And, yeah, so Orm initially, kind of reluctantly agrees to team with Arthur. So they end up, he breaks him out, and this is where, obviously, they have their whole fucking cringy back and forth, where it's like, Orm is like the more serious one, and Aquaman's like the joke. It got old quick, man. It just was like, okay, we get it. There's a way to do, but there is, like I said, that really quick scene where Aquaman would have missed Orm. I didn't want the throne. I only took it because, what Orm was doing in the first one. Threatening humanity. That was it. And even Orm's face is like, wow. And then, no, we got to cut it for a joke. And then, because Aquaman is like, oh, I beat you. I beat your ass with no challenge at all. And then you have Orm saying, oh, I remember your wife helping you. It was like, God damn it, movie. It's like Marvel has this fucking problem where they actually have a thing they can actually touch on that has some, like, wait, now let's cut away so we can make a shitty joke. And that's what they did here. It's like, that was actually a scene you could have touched on. Maybe build on him and Orm's relationship a little. It's like, I'm going to say it, Patrick Wilson's a good actor. I think he's a really great actor, actually. I didn't, Insidious Red Door has his problems, but I thought he was pretty good in that. And then in this, he's just kind of like, he's probably one of the better characters. Like, him and Black Man are probably the two best characters in the movie. And y'all agree, Black Man is very one note, just, I want to kill Aquaman, and that's it. Which, okay, that's the only character in the movie, but at least it's something. I do like, he was a good villain up until that. It was only the ending, and I'll get to that. But then it's like, I'm going to say it again. They had to ruin it. They had to ruin that moment between the two and make a shitty joke, and it kills it. So we get like a shitty joke where they're on the island, Aquaman, I gotta build bridges. That's where you saw in the trailer, right? Where he knocks over the statue. But then in the movie, he knocks over the statue, but he like splats on it, and then it still topples over. I'm like, why couldn't you just have him topple it over? Why did you have to have him splat his face so you could make that joke? Because it didn't look, I guess they were trying to make it like look like it didn't work. So he like ran to it and like he face planted essentially into it. And it didn't like, it seemingly didn't work. And then you hear it move after. And it's like, why couldn't you just have him do it and it worked perfectly? Why did you have to have it just so you could have that joke of, oh, Aquaman, that didn't work. That was a good move, Arthur. It was basically something like that Orm said. It was just so you can make... It's like this movie just makes excuses just to make... Their dynamic got old quick, though. It really did. It's like, okay, move on. This is just bad Thor and Loki from fucking Thor 2. No, people don't love that movie. I did like them together, working on the relationship. And I just felt like, at least in that movie, it was way more natural. In this feels fucking forced. They feel like, okay, we have to do this because it's our last movie. So they meet with some crime lord called Kingfish who, I'm going to say it, he has fucking tits. Like, literal man tits. Like, noticeable. That was another scene I was going to talk about there. I'm like, okay, this is fucking weird. Why does the alien have tits? Some of the alien designs in this movie just look terrible. Or fish designs. I know they're supposed to be fish, but they look like aliens. That's why why did you have to give them tits? Like, come on. When I saw them, like, okay, no, they didn't just give this alien tits. Yes, they did. Like, man tits. I'm not going to say they're like, female tits, but either way, they really gave this shit tits. It's like, my fucking God, movie. Like, why did you give it tits? Oh, I didn't mention. Oh, yeah, this is a point. This was back when King Orm attacked Atlantis. Mira gets injured, like, in the throat. Like, I think, like, Black Manta shot something and it hit her, like, in the throat. So she's, like, taken out. So, like, you could tell. Because even in the trailers, they took her out and tried to make it seem like she's barely in the movie. And like, it's so weird, man, because it's like she is on screen, like, a lot. She really is a background character. She has, like, 5 lines, and I'm not exaggerating. Like, her lines are, like, proactive lines. It's like her just kind of responding, and even the way she's saying the lines feels like it kind of feels like AI. Like, it was... Like, I do think she's probably in the movie way more, probably had a bigger role, and they cut that shit. So they're like, okay, maybe people won't be as mad as she might still be on screen, but she won't be really saying anything. And I think that's what maybe they were banking on. Like, oh, if we cut her, like, lines, a lot of them, and she's just there on screen, but she's not actually, like, doing anything important, then I maybe wonder if they thought that would get over, but it doesn't, because it didn't, because it's not doing well already. Like, it's probably going to open lower than the fucking Marvels. I'll say it's a better movie, but I'm not saying much. But it's like, they shouldn't... The whole Amber Heard thing was going to always hurt them, because it's, we're not even, like, a little bit over a year removed from the trial, and just everybody unanimously now pretty much thinks Johnny Depp got fucked over. So yeah, like they should have just cut her. Might as well, because she doesn't do shit in the movie anyway. There's like 2 points you could have killed her and you didn't. You would have even that. Maybe you would have gotten more even views if you just killed her. Like that scene where Black Manta shoots, you should have just killed her. And maybe for Arthur's story, that probably would have worked better. Now he wants to get revenge on Black Manta. Obviously, us as the viewers probably wouldn't care, but probably cheer. I was going to say that might get people to go see the movie now. Like, oh, Amber Heard gets killed in it. But yeah, she's basically not in the movie. But anyway. So Aquaman manages to convince Black Kingfish to convince him to tell him the information about the island in the Pacific. And this is where they go into the story of Kordax, King Atlan's brother, who got corrupted. This scene is this was another one where basically Kordax's whole thing is, oh, we could stop using this. I'm just going to call it green crystal thing, because I'm not going to try to pronounce it. They use this shit, and it basically, I think King Atlan even asked him, stop using it, it's corrupting you, and it's destroying. And he's like, it basically is almost like, I'd rather pollute the planet than fucking not use it. That's what it came off like. It's so, like, really? You couldn't have some other reason why they turned on each other. No, basically, even within that whole story, it was still about, like, some climate change shit. So, and that's when we find out that the last descendants, which is Aquaman, Orm, and I think the baby and his son are like the only ones who can get basically blood magic is what basically activates. So they realize this Black Manta, they come back, Black Manta stabs Aquaman's dad, and they probably should have just fucking killed him. I like Tamara Morrison, but you could have had him get, Aquaman come back, find the house burnt down, and then you see his dad die and give him some what? No, let's just some, I guess some Atlantean technology, some jelly shit that like heals. I guess I don't know. So they heal his dad. His dad's fine. It's like, oh my god, movie. You could have actually had an emotional. No, it's just that's what I mean. This movie it is a little frustrating in that sense. It's like because there's moments where they kind of could actually do something serious, but no, they just we got to ruin it with a joke, or I guess keep him alive just to keep him alive. But this is the last movie anyway. There's not going to be an Aquaman 3. I wonder maybe originally they were while this was being made, maybe they wanted to do an Aquaman 3 and it just. And it's just, they wanted to, but I guess it's not happening now. But it's, like, pointless. So they go to Antarctica. Shen basically turns on fucking Black Manta. Predictable. Big battle in the end. Just, the battle just was clunky. It was just CGI dog shit. And everybody's fighting. Mira's in like the big climax in the fight, but she almost gets killed. Black Manta throws the spear, but Orm catches it, and basically he realizes he's gonna kind of gets possessed, and Kordax leaves basically Black Manta. So then Orm's kind of treated as a joke, because as soon as it takes over Orm, like Black Manta tries to throw a punch at Aquaman, and Aquaman just like breaks his arm, and it's just like, wow, okay. Like that was what annoyed me. Not as bad, obviously, like Bane from Dark Knight, but when you have a villain, Dark Knight Rises, I mean, when you have a villain, you set him up, and he's like this good villain for the most of the movie, and then you just bitch him out. Like I think that's kind of what happens here. I don't think it's as bad as Bane from Dark Knight Rises, but it is pretty bad. Like. I thought he was pretty good up until that. He was pretty good. He was a decent challenge. He posed a challenge to Aquaman. Yeah, he's a one-note villain and really no other motivation besides that, but it works, right? Getting revenge on Aquaman, and then they don't even have like a final fight, really. They kind of do, but not really. And then, because the real final fight is really between him and Kordax. Because once Kordax's spirit leaves Orm, like I said, Aquaman just breaks his arm easily and beats him. So Orm, they kind of fight, but then they manage to free Kordax from Orm punches Aquaman to a point where it causes blood. Aquaman to bleed. It triggers the ice to freeze or whatever the fuck, unfreeze or whatever, and it frees Kordax. And then Aquaman throws the Black Trident. Kordax catches it, and then Aquaman throws his, and it breaks. Whatever. Bad guy defeated. Aquaman tries to save David, or, Black Manta, but Black Manta was like, I won't, basically grab your hand and he dies. Whatever. So they managed to escape to Savy. They let Orm go. And basically this is where the Atlanteans decide to kind of show themselves to the world. And this is where we get this really bad speech scene from Aquaman. And this is where, the suit looked the worst. You could clearly tell it was, a floating fucking head. It was one of that. It was like that, like in the MCU sometimes, where you would see, it's that kind of shit. And he gives this bad speech. It's basically the speech in the first movie. I'm a dad. I'm a hero. I'm a king of Atlantis. And then I'm Iron. Basically, I'm Aquaman. Basically, I'm Iron Man. It's the same shit. It was so bad. And then he, runs off. I'm like, it was almost like a fourth wall break, too, because it was him giving this, because he kind of was looking at the camera. It was almost like him giving the speech to the audience in it. This movie isn't good. It's not the worst thing in the world. It is frustrating in some points, where there's, you kind of could do something, like that scene where, like I said, Aquaman kind of revealed, no, I didn't actually want the fucking throne. Just as, or mention, oh, it's your destiny to challenge me for the throne. And when you find Aquaman didn't even really want it. It was more because of what Orm was doing. And it's oh, you could have did something with that. That could have actually been something to explore. And Orm's reaction to it when he realizes, wait, so you didn't do it to challenge? They actually could have did something with that. But no, we got to make a shitty joke. There is a lot of that in the movie where they just kind of throw something potentially they could do something with for a shitty joke. But aside from that shit, and obviously the million mentions of climate change, it's not the worst movie. It's a very generic superhero movie. The CGI is pretty bad though. Especially the Atlantis scenes. It's kind of sad, how Aquaman 1 is 5-6 years old, and that movie still looks better than this. This, I'm gonna say it's not as bad as The Flash, but it's not good. Those Aquaman scenes just look terrible. That's why I can't even really be like, oh, there's some cool creature designs. I'm like, yeah, but they don't look as good. Visually, at least with Aquaman 1, I'm gonna say it again, I don't love that movie. But the visuals in that looked good, so that's why it made it to where, some of the designs are cool. It makes you notice how much cooler the designs look when it looks good. When something looks like shit, it's hard for me to really give it props. It may kind of look cool, but it looks terrible because of the bad CGI, and I think that's the case here. Where, there may have been some cool designs with some of the creatures, but it just looked terrible. It was just visually, an awful movie. All over the place. The whole shtick between Orm and Arthur got old, real fucking quick. It got tired. Arthur's the more, the comedy, and Orm's the serious one. And there's even a scene where you see Orm eating a burger. That was kind of funny. They could have done more with that. But then they leaned too much into the comedy, I think, to where it was annoying comedy. To where it wasn't funny, but it was just can we stop? I don't need to see Aquaman just be Aqua Bro while Orm's the serious one. Again, we get it, movie. So, DCU ends in a whimper, and it's weird. Y'all know my opinion on the DCU. I like the first 3 movies, Man of Steel, BVS. If, let's say, the whole Snyder Cut didn't happen, they released the Snyder Cut back then, it would be those three movies, and like I feel like the rest of them just go from pretty bad to shit. Like I'm not a big fan of the first Shazam. I know a lot of people like it. It's a one-watch kind of movie for me. Same with Aquaman. Birds of Shit was bad. Fucking the Suicide Squad was bad. Like, a lot of these, like, obviously Wonder Woman 84 is like an abortion. Like, a lot of those movies are just terrible. So, like, I think there's only really been 3 good ones, and then the rest of it's shit. So, and I'm gonna say, I think James Gunn's gonna be even worse. I think people who act like James Gunn's gonna save DC is just, no. But anyway, Aquaman 2 is not good. I'm not gonna say, I probably personally won't recommend it, but, I mean, if it's on HBO Max and you want to waste like 2 hours, it's fine, I guess. Like I said, it's kind of an inoffensive movie. Yeah, it is inoffensive, but that climate shit does almost borderline make it a little offensive because they do mention it a lot, and it is like cringe. It's like, okay, we get it, but I don't think it doesn't piss me off, and I think that's why I'm calling it inoffensive. It didn't piss me off. I wasn't angry after like I was with The Flash, or even with Blue Beetle. It's how much that movie race baited. So yeah, like that was frustrating, but this was just like, eh. You know, yeah, it sucks Amber Heard's in it, but she really doesn't do shit. It does feel like she's a fucking AI. Like, the way she would deliver lines is just so, like, the couple lines she gets, but, yeah. 5 out of 10. Never will watch again, but it's not the worst thing in the world. It's not AIDS. So, that's all I can really say. Tomorrow, Screen Rant article, I am gonna destroy this shit, because, what the fuck? Like, really? Like, Trinity was never this beloved, underappreciated? What are you... Screen Rant, y'all just say shit. Like, where did that ever come from? She was underappreciated. Everyone always loves that opening scene. That was her. Anyway. So I pretty much have said all I can say about Aquaman. It's not good, but it's bad. So, anyway. Screen Rant article tomorrow. Nightmare Before Christmas on Sunday. Merry Christmas, y'all. Peace out here. Alright, y'all. Aquaman's whatever. Good, but not horrible either. I'll talk to y'all later.